Very,
Live from
very.
Canada, we have our lovely podcast guest here. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Phil, and I'm the host of Two Beers Till Takeoff. Two Beers Till Takeoff is a travel podcast that specializes in crazy travel stories. Now, when I say crazy
Ooh.
travel stories, I don't mean I went to Paris and lost my luggage. I'm talking about getting shot at during a civil war in Sri Lanka, getting arrested in Colombia, biking from Seattle to Argentina. And recently, I've also had a guest that was on from Ukraine, which was actually a great episode.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah.
How'd you come up with the title?
Man, you know what? It actually wasn't the initial title. The initial name of the podcast was going to be Airport Beers, which is, similar,
Hmm.
but looked it up and somebody had already taken the name. And
uh,
like a month before, the guy had just started the podcast. It had been a month and called it Airport Beers.
Wow.
So fucking
wow.
pissed. But anyway, so we're like, all right, how can we kind of deviate? How can I like kind of deviate? At the time, I had a co-host. So how can we deviate and just kind of same theme, drinks at the airport, you're talking to strangers, you're talking stories. That's how we kind of got the name.
Mm.
Dope concept.
Yeah.
Where have you traveled to?
Fuck, where haven't I? I guess look just right behind me, right?
All those dots of where you traveled to?
Yeah. So I haven't done any south. So this portion here, Russia, Southeast Asia, Asia, I haven't done anything. But I've done a lot of Europe. I'm taking a chunk out of South America. So I did Brazil in 2017. I did Colombia last June, and I'm doing Peru in actually 2 days. I did Morocco.
Nice.
Where else? I did a portion of the U.S. and I've lived, I guess, all over Canada.
What was your experience in Colombia like?
Unreal, man. So I think Colombia's a place that a lot of people shy away from because we're so familiar with their history, right? Like who didn't watch Narcos, right?
Mm.
Right. So, but it's we have to also remember that that time was during the 80s and 90s. And since then, the country has continued and progressed. And, there still is, cultivation and production of cocaine, but tourism has also become a really big thing, right? So it's almost it's almost it's almost like tourists are like how much the country's focused on tourism. They don't want to mess with that. So like the cocaine trade, the whatever the narcos, they won't mess with the tourists.
Mm. Yeah, tourism brings in a lot of wealth to the country, so you want it to be safer, to be more inviting for people to show up.
Yeah, and it's literally, man, it's a hotbed right now amongst backpackers. It's
Mm.
like I remember I was in Croatia and I met this guy who's like, man, I've been traveling for like 3 years straight. And I was like, dude, okay,
Damn.
you must get this all the time. But like, where is your favorite place? And the guy didn't blink and just went Colombia. And I was like, okay. Anyways, fast forward to like another conversation with a girl like down the table. And I asked her the same question. She had been to she was living in Africa for a while. She was, all over. And the same question, didn't blink, Colombia. I was like, what the fuck? Like Colombia is not even on my radar, man. Like
Mm.
I need to look into this place and come to it, man. It's an awesome place. The people are unreal, and the sights and the country is just amazing.
Would you say that Colombia is your favorite place?
Um, it would it would depend on it was a highlight. If I'd put it in my top 10 for sure.
Got you. How about
I
the
spent 10 days there, so I guess I'd like to explore the country a bit more.
What part of Colombia were you in?
So I was in Medellin,
Hmm.
which the drive-in from the airport to the city is probably one of the most beautiful I've ever seen in my life.
Yep.
It's essentially rolling hills, plus the
Yep.
whole city's like amongst jungle and greenery. It's It's unreal. So we went to Medellin, went to Cartagena, which is north of there on the coast. And then we ended up in San Andres, which is an island, a Colombian island off the coast of Nicaragua.
How was, because I was there 2 weeks ago.
Oh shit,
And
nice.
how was San Andreas? Because that's actually on my list.
So we had planned to go to San Andres because we wanted to kind of have like that Caribbean experience, you know, go to the beach, kind of just hang around, that type of thing, which is, you know, Cartagena. I don't know if you were in Cartagena, but Cartagena is a bit more of a metropolis. There's a lot more stuff going on, right? Whereas San Andres is like this more quiet island. So we did get caught in kind of like a tropical storm, nothing like crazy or story like worthy, but it was still, they had been hit by hurricanes in the past and they still haven't really recovered that much, in my opinion.
Wow.
Like there's still a lot of like buildings that are like pretty still messed up.
Jeez.
But it was cool, man. We just like rented like a 4x4, like an ATV, and just drove around the island. That's all we could do, right? So
how are the women?
Well, I'm not actually allowed to answer that question because I went with my girlfriend. So I didn't see any. I don't remember.
Smart.
You Canadians lock it down early, man. How old are you?
Early.
I'm 31.
Okay. Oh yeah, I seen you mention that before. Well, how long you been in a relationship with her?
On and off for like 7 years.
Interesting.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, when was the last time you guys have been off?
When I moved to Germany, in the beginning of the relationship.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I guess we started dating, met on Tinder, and I mean, who hasn't met on Tinder, right? But but no, so it was, you know, I was waiting to get a scholarship to go to school in Germany, and I was like, listen, like, really like you, but it's looking good that I get this scholarship, and I ended up getting it. And I was just, we kind of broke things off. She started dating someone, I started dating someone, like throughout the process, throughout the year. And when I came back, and then we kind of both broke up and just got back right where we were. So it kind of worked out, man.
How many languages do you know?
2 fluent. So French is my first language. I guess I know a bit of German, but I haven't used it in so long that I don't put that on any resume or anything. And just basic Spanish.
What part of Germany were you in?
So I was in Heilbronn. So it's southwest. So it's bordering Switzerland, France. Okay. It's a beautiful wine region. It's right next to Stuttgart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that where you found your love of beer from?
No, see, in Canada, you don't start drinking at 21. No, there's a big beer culture here, man. Like in high school, like I know you guys must also have done that in high school, but like for us, it's not that frowned upon for your parents to go and buy you a 6-pack or something, you know? Like
how old?
Like 16, 17. But our drinking age is 18 or 19. It depends per province.
Interesting stuff.
But we actually have, I know you guys have it not federally legal, but we have it federally legal, like for weed. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting, man. I've tried.
What made you want to start a podcast?
It was actually during the pandemic.
A lot of people.
You know, pandemic kind of took away one of the things that I really love, which is travel, you know? So initially I started it with a co-host, is one of my buddies, and he's no longer a co-host on the show, but he still comes back often. He's the craziest guy I know. But so we were, you know, missing the hostel encounters. You know, you talk to people, you hear stories, you meet new people, you learn about them. We're really missing that. And that's essentially why I decided to start a podcast. I never thought I would ever start a podcast. I was like, oh my God, like that's somebody else, man. Like I listen to them. I can't do a podcast. And then just the pandemic kind of just fast forwarded everything and forced us to do it. And just spent a bunch of time on YouTube, how to edit stuff. Found out that I was bad at editing. Hire a producer. You know what I mean? It's a whole process. But no, man, it's been really fun. A lot of work, but really fun.
What would you say is the end goal of your podcast, if you have one?
Oh man, more listens than Joe Rogan? No, no. I don't know, man. That's a tough question. I think I don't really have like I guess if I can break even on the podcast, I think that would be great. Bringing in revenue and being able to cover the production costs. That's probably like a short-term goal. But a long-term goal, just to get some cool guests, I guess.
Mm.
That's what I strive for, man. I guess we stopped for a while. So my friend who was the co-host initially, he had to step away for personal reasons, and we stopped for 10 months. And in that 10 months, I guess I realized that there was a certain need for creativity and for expression and to learn about culture, because I mean, travel is like a weird hobby to have, in the way that, you know what I mean? Let's say you like basketball. You can go play basketball after work, or you can, you know what I mean? You can play basketball at lunch, or so you can play basketball often. But traveling is something that if you have a 9 to 5, or like most of us do, you can't do very often. So this is kind of a way to tap into that.
Got you. So traveling is your hobby. This is a way you can do it every day, almost.
Yeah.
Thought he had a question there. What do you want people to take away from your podcast?
Well, I think my podcast, there's a big focus on travel advice, big portion on stories as well. I think what I want people to get out of my podcast is, one, entertainment, because travel stories are awesome. There's some crazy shit that happens on a daily basis. But I also like demystifying places, showing people that what they see maybe on the news or whatever social media maybe isn't what what is actually happening. So for example, like I had that guest on who was in Ukraine, and he was just talking about the situation, how it was there. And it was just really cool to understand or hear some information that you're like, oh, like that, like I don't hear that on the news. I hear that, there's fighting and this and that, but he's like, no, man, like there's kids playing, the air raid sirens are going off, but like nobody gives a shit, man. Like he was at a hotel that had a bunker, air raid sirens going off. He's like, oh my God, like, do I have to like go to the, like, what are we doing? Like, let's mobilize, And he's like, man, just people are like living their lives. So I guess it's encouraging to hear, but it's not what we see and hear in the media.
What's the craziest story that you've heard and the craziest story that you've told?
So the craziest story I've heard, I can't probably tell on here.
Wow.
We'll talk about it maybe after. But no, I guess one of the craziest ones that I've heard is definitely my buddy being caught in a civil war in Sri Lanka and getting shot at. It's so crazy that event on that day literally has a Wikipedia page.
Oh, wow.
And the craziest story that I have was probably from Brazil. It's not like a good story, but it was more of a somber story. So I guess I can maybe tell two stories to kind of liven up the mood a bit, because the first one isn't like the best. But so we were like on a bus, me and my buddy in Brazil, so we were in Ahial de Juda, and we were going up to Salvador. Salvador is like it's pretty touristy. It's like got nice Spanish colonial buildings and stuff like that. So it's a beautiful spot. But anyway, so we're busing up to there, and I think it was like something ridiculous, like 17-hour bus ride. Anyway, so my buddy and his wife were in the bus was almost full, so he got a seat in the second last row, because the last row was free because it was right next to the bathroom. Usually you don't want to be stuck on the bathroom. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'll get an extra seat. I'll be able to lay down, and so it'll be fine. Like I'll take the smell just to be able to lay down for 17 hours, right? So anyways, so I'm laying down, and throughout the night there's this guy that wakes me up, and he's like, hey, like, you're in my seat. I'm like, oh shit, sorry dude. So I get up, and the guy's like in a uniform, and like I didn't know exactly what it was, but it like could have been a policeman, it could have been like military, something like that. Anyway, so throughout the night, I go back to sleep, start sleeping, and in the middle of my dreams, I feel a hand grab my dick.
Whoa.
Yeah.
A man?
Yes, the man next to me.
Oh my goodness.
So then I wake.
Story.
What?
I wouldn't have told the story, Phil. Jesus.
Listen, man. It's just, I guess, showing what can happen during, when you're traveling. It's a reality. It doesn't just happen to women. But anyways, so I like wake up, and I'm like playing it back in my head, like, did that fucking happen? You know what I mean? When you're sleeping, you wake up, you're like disoriented. I look over to the guy, and he's like wide awake. It's like 2 a.m. And I'm like playing it back in my head. Did that happen? Did that happen? Did that happen? I'm like, okay, that fucking happened. So I'm like, all right, fuck this. If he fucking touches me again, I'm going to elbow him in the head. Like we're going to go down here. And anyway, so we shortly after, we stop at this bus stop. Guy gets off, and when he gets off, he had a fucking piece on him. He had a gun on him, like on his like a thigh strap. And so I wake my buddy up. I'm like, hey, like, what is that guy? He's like, oh, it's like an army. He's something in the army. And I guess in hindsight, like the political situation right now in Brazil with Jair Bolsonaro, which is like semi-dictatorial, like he's very anti-gay, like, so had I done anything, he would have probably like fucking shot me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense.
So yeah, he was homosexual?
What?
He was gay?
Probably. I mean, how many times have you gone on the bus and grabbed a dude's dick, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah, man. So that's definitely my crazy story. And I'll just follow that up, because I knew that I didn't want to set the mood to being like, something fucked up. Later on, we were in Salvador. Salvador is like this, like I was saying, a beautiful city. There's a lot of tourism, but it's also like 20th on the murder rate in the world.
Damn, the world.
Yeah, dude. It's really bad. Didn't know this before going. But anyway, so on our last night, me and my buddy, we go out to the bars, and anyways, we grab some McDonald's. After the night, we grab some McDonald's, grab an Uber. Just had a very American night in Brazil. And anyway, so there's a portion of Salvador that you can't drive, so it's like a pedestrian area. And so we start walking, and this guy stops us, and he's like, "Hey, give me your McDonald's." I'm like, fuck, not some like this shit just happened, right? This past story. I'm like, fuck, man, I have the worst luck in the world, but I'm also very hungry. So I'm like pushing back. I'm like, fuck you. No, man, this is my McChicken. And anyways, he's like grabbing at the bag. A guy pulls out a knife, and then me and my buddy look at each other and we're like, we can run faster. This guy, he's like a pretty old guy. So we just outran him. We like had a bunch of Sprite all over us, and but we're like, fuck it. Yeah. But anyways, so like we saw that guy the next day, and we had actually seen him the night before. He was trying to get us to go to the prostitutes. My buddy was there with his wife, and we're like, bro, like read the room.
Thanks.
Yeah. So Brazil's pretty sketchy. I'd recommend if you go to Brazil, like I know you can go to Brazil without, a local, but if you go with a local, I think it's in your advantage.
So you recommend going with a local?
Yeah, absolutely.
Got you.
Because there's a like language barrier for sure. I feel like we're not really as accustomed to Portuguese than Spanish, right?
Yeah.
Where is one place that you would like to travel to that you haven't got the chance to?
Well, I mean, I want to finish the world. Like I'd love to do everywhere if I could. My goal was to hit all continents before 30, and that didn't happen, unfortunately. So Southeast Asia is definitely one. It's a backpacker hot spot. But I guess maybe a couple spots that less people talk about. Mongolia. So the same summer I got the scholarship to go to Germany, I wanted to do a trip to Mongolia. So you can land in Beijing and then take a train and go through the Gobi Desert up to Ulaanbaatar. And then you can go and live with like the nomads in Mongolia.
Oh, wow.
And so that's one spot. And then Southeast Asia. And I guess a third would be Tajikistan.
Where's that?
So it's I guess it's near like Kazakhstan.
Okay.
So it's close to Mongolia, but anyways, it's a very mountainous range. It's very mountainous country. And there's this American vlogger for Barstool Sports. I don't know if you know Wonton Don.
No, I don't.
Anyways, he's hilarious, and he went to Tajikistan, and apparently they have this huge sporting event that revolves around a headless goat, where a bunch of dudes are just on horses, and it's essentially like they're trying to get the goat from like one end to the other, while the other team's trying to get it to the other. So it's kind of like soccer, but with a headless goat. I just think it's like the weirdest thing I've ever heard of, and I'd love to see it.
The goat's running around with no head?
No. Goat's dead. They take the head off for some reason, because I think they eat it like as a delicacy. And then that's used as like the ball.
Wow.
Isn't that just like a sacrifice?
Yeah, exactly. He's got a video online, and it's Tajikistan looks super cool, and I mean they have really weird festivals. So
what made you want to travel initially?
That's a good question. So I was at the time, I guess 21. I was in university or college for you guys, basically not knowing what I wanted to do, not doing well at school, basically failing out, and was like, man, like I need. So then I started working and kind of did some shitty like minimum wage jobs, and then was like, man, like I need to get my life together. I need to challenge myself. I need to do something that will, make me break this like funk that I'm in. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go backpacking across Europe. And so I challenged myself. Like looking back, Europe isn't much of a challenge because of how easy it is to travel. But at the time, the unknown is like it's something that's attractive, right? It's like fuck, like so basically, yeah, I challenged myself to do that trip, and man, like you come back and you learned so much from traveling. I think, budgeting, learning from people's currents or cultures. You get a lot of people skills. It's for me, it was a very transformative trip for me, and completely changed my trajectory. We'll say that.
Have you ever been to Italy?
Oh yeah.
Have you eaten the pizza over there?
Of course.
Have you been to New York?
I drove through New York. I didn't stop.
Oh, you didn't get a pizza from New York?
No, dude.
Ah, man, I was gonna ask you to compare. So far, everyone has said New York pizza is better.
Well, yeah, I listened to an episode and you'd asked that question and I was like, fuck, like won't be able to answer. I've heard that too. I think the slice is also probably cheaper.
Yeah.
I've had Chicago deep dish. That sucks.
Yeah.
Lasagna.
It does. Basically, or big ziti.
Yeah. But no, man, I zoomed through New York because I was going to Philadelphia to go see an Eagles game. So.
You're an Eagles fan?
No, I'm a Pats fan. But at the time,
are you still a Pats fan?
Yes.
Okay.
Didn't they just get blew out?
What's that?
No, I'm thinking about.
What's the record for?
1-1. Just beat the Steelers. But no, back then when I was driving through the US to get to the west of Canada, and I just looked at like basically what game was happening. It was like Cleveland versus Cincinnati. I was like, no.
Hell no.
So this would have been a number of years back, but it was the dream team for the Eagles, like Mike Vick, Sean McCoy, you know what I mean? Like that big squad that didn't do anything, and then the Lions had like Matt Stafford, Calvin Johnson. So it was like a lot of like really good it was going to be a sick game. So I was like, let's do it. So.
Got you. Which country would you say has the best food? The one that you've gone to?
Well, we have this question on my podcast soon. We've had to retire it almost because it's Italy.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I hear that Brazil has very good cuisine.
They have very good cuisine. Yeah, Brazil is really good, right? Because you get that seafood. They have like some very hearty meals, but the coast has really really good seafood. I mean, Mexico's really good too. Nobody says England, eh?
Why would they? Beans and toast?
Yeah.
Jesus.
For real.
Yeah. Have you guys been to Italy?
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of overhyped in my opinion.
Where did you go?
Where the fuck was I?
Italy City?
I think it was in Capri.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. One of the islands. Yeah. Because it's like 4 or 5 islands, right? It was cool.
I've never been to their islands. Capri.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So they have like, I think about like 4 or 5.
Oh yeah, Capri. Yeah, Capri. Yeah, isn't that like near Naples, something like that?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Basically. Well, that was
nice.
A while ago. It was like a 3-4 day trip, but I do want to go back again to more so Santorini area type. That's where I really want to go.
Yeah.
If you had the ability to live anywhere you wanted to in the world, where would you live?
New York.
Really?
No, I'm messing with you. Well, I don't know. I've only like went to like a truck stop and a hotel, so I can't really say. It'd probably be Europe somewhere. Let's go with Czech Republic. Somewhere like Prague.
Prague is expensive. You know, I'm bugging.
No way, man. Prague's super cheap.
I'm bugging. Yeah, I'm bugging.
Yeah. So they're out of the euro, so they're on their own currency, and so
wow.
Last
since
time I
when?
Since like '89.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, so what happened was in when the Iron Curtain fell, so like Russia invaded a lot of Eastern Europe, right? Or most of Eastern Europe. And then in 89 the Berlin Wall fell and the Iron Curtain collapsed. And what Russia was basically doing in all these Eastern European countries was that they were making them produce stuff for them. So they had built like a lot of like TV towers, radio towers, manufacturing. So like, for example, like Albania did like ammunition. So they were just doing ammunition. And like, for example, like another country would do like batteries. And then essentially once the Berlin Wall fell, Russia pulled out of most of Eastern Europe and basically took everything. So that's why now, once you hit kind of that border of Germany, east of that, their economy is like pretty fucked up. It's some of them are rebounding, but like they're pretty much all on their own currency except for Slovakia and Bosnia or Bosnia, Montenegro, and I think those are the only two that are on the euro eastwards.
How long did you live in Germany for?
For a year.
For a year, okay.
Yeah, but yeah. So the reason you guys should check out Czech Republic is beer. So they drink the most beer in the world per capita.
I can't do it. You beer drinkers, man, always want to go someplace with more beer, man. I can't do the beer like y'all can, man. Crack
But
back
what do you drink?
20, 25 beers. I drink
real alcohol.
What do you drink?
liquor on occasion.
Vodka.
Okay. Well, there's really good vodka in that region, like
I'm sure
Poland.
All of a sudden.
Now I've been to Poland. Like I lived in Germany for 4 years, so
okay, cool.
The alcohol content there is way higher than here, and I was a real alcoholic when I was over there. So
Where did you live?
And I had to, huh?
Where did you live?
I was in Baumholder. So Stuttgart is about like 6 hours away. So I was by Ramstein. I was an hour away from Frankfurt.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was.
So were you in the army or?
Yeah, I was in the army. It was a little village, a little base up in the mountains. It was really just irrelevant. So, but
nice.
Like we went on a lot of missions too, like because like I went to Poland or I know we went to Prague for a little bit, or Romania, and so we had the opportunity to stop and explore these places with Switzerland and everything was
Switzerland's
drivable.
expensive.
Too expensive, yeah. Switzerland is very expensive.
Dude.
Too expensive, honestly. You need bread, and Paris is right there. Paris was like 4 hours away from where we was at, which is another overhyped place to me, in my opinion.
Yep.
It's not what it looks like in the movies and television. It's dirty. It's like New York to me. It's dirty as hell.
I had a lot of people tell me when I was going to Paris, I was going there, and a lot of people said it's shit. Yes. I went in having that expectation that I wasn't going to like it. And I actually didn't mind it because of the expectations. There's actually a syndrome for people that show up to Paris and expect it to be like a 10 and it's, like a 3 not because of what they have, but because of the amount of people that are there, right? It's the most visited country in the world, right? You go to the Louvre, how long are you waiting, man? You got to tent out.
Yes. Yes. And
so
I feel like there's not much to do, even though there is. I mean, I feel like it's a place you got to go if you're in a relationship or married. Like, if you go with your homies, which I did, it's like, okay.
Yeah, I think there's other places in I was gonna say Paris in France that is worth doing. Like Paris is your hub to land in. Go do the sites, then maybe go down to the coast or
yes.
There's a lot more places like La Côte d'Azur is really nice. So a lot of places.
South of France, yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Last word, have you traveled?
The only place I've gone outside the U.S. is Jamaica. and that's where my parents come from, so can't really count
Oh,
that.
nice. So did you do like off resort, like you guys were just roaming
Oh,
around?
no, we were in the trenches. We were in the trenches.
Okay, good, man. Good.
No, not good.
No,
No.
Not good. No,
hell no,
in the trenches.
hell no.
So,
But
so you didn't
I
like
just
it?
did a resort for like a short period of time. I was like near. I was on a resort for like maybe like a day or two.
Nice. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes it's good to just do nothing, but to just be stuck on in the resort, sometimes it sucks.
It's better than the alternative. I'll tell you that much. Well, for me anyway. Well, for me anyway. Yeah, but I
Okay.
heard a lot of yeah.
You've never been to Canada?
I've not. I've been itching to go to
Yeah,
Toronto, eh?
Yeah.
Itching- I've been itching to go, man, for real. It's definitely
Montreal.
yeah,
Oh, Montreal's good,
Vancouver
man.
too. I want to go to.
Yeah. Yeah. So the thing with travel in Canada, I mean, you guys know this, right? To go from New York to LA is like so far. It's essentially going from like England to like Greece, right? Of how the distances
Yes,
are. Like for us,
yes.
man, Toronto from where I live is like 15 hours or something, 17
God,
hours
Driving?
Jesus.
driving. And flying, man, like we have a population of 38 million and we're the second largest country in the world. So flight prices are ridiculous. It's cheaper for me to go to Europe than to go to like the next province over.
Wow. You say you're the seventh largest?
Second.
Second largest population?
Since when?
No.
Okay. Landmass.
Landmass. Yeah,
Landmass.
yeah, yeah. No,
Oh,
we're
oh, oh! I was about
38
to
million. No,
say.
we're super small, man.
Yeah, I was about to say Russia is first.
Russia's first, yeah.
Yeah.
If you
And
did you ask if you could live anywhere? If you
Yeah, I
could,
said check Prague.
got you. What country has the best fashion sense? In your opinion?
that's a good question.
It's probably like Italy,
Mm.
Spain. Spain are pretty good too.
Yeah, hell yeah. Hell
Interesting.
yeah.
You've gone. I'm assuming you've gone to Spain as well.
Yeah.
Good part.
So did Barcelona, and then went to Pamplona for running with the Bulls,
Yeah.
and then went to San Sebastian, which is like northwest of Pamplona. So like it's on the Atlantic Ocean.
How many languages do you know?
So French is my first language,
Mm.
English, bit of German, and a bit of Spanish.
What would be the best piece of traveling advice you would give somebody?
Go book the flight. That's literally the best advice. Do not hesitate to book your flight because as soon as you book your flight, everything in life will be it will match. You will say, "Am I going to go out tonight and spend $100 at the bar or the restaurant I'm going to, or am I going to save that for my trip?" And
Do.
it's just going to prioritize everything.
Are you the traveler that kind of has everything mapped out, or you're more of a traveler where you get to the city and you just wing it?
I'm the wing it. Like for example, my trip to Peru, I still haven't booked a hotel and I'm landing there in 2 days.
Oh wow.
And
Let me
then
know how
we're
that
going
goes.
we're going to the Amazon for a week.
Oh shit.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, and so I have like the hostel where we're staying at, but that's it. Like we still have to book a tour, and then like there's some stuff you have to prepare for. Like for example, in this trip we're doing the Amazon where it's going to be I was going to use Celsius, but like it's going to be really hot in the Amazon. And then we're going to do Machu Picchu. We're in the south of the country or south from there. And it's going to be like super cold. So it's like you have to pack and prepare for a lot of stuff. We're going to be doing a lot more outdoor stuff than if you were, like in Germany or something like that. Whereas it's cities and you've got all the resources you need. Whereas like if you're in the Amazon sleeping in huts, you need a bit more stuff. So most usually I'm a bit more carefree, but this one I've had to be this one has been the biggest challenge up to date.
Do you travel with your girlfriend often?
Yeah. So she came to Colombia and she's coming to Peru as well.
Does she kind of plan out things, or she just wings it along with you?
She's more the planner.
I've noticed
She's,
that like women like
Somebody has to be. You can't
it's true,
have
man.
two just
Opposites
winging
attract.
people. That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy to just wing shit. Nah, what?
And the guy I had the podcast, or who was my co-host for a while, he would show up to places, like fly into a place and not have any accommodation booked and just show up to places.
like what cities?
What?
What cities would he do this in?
Oh man, he's been in like 80 countries.
Wow, that's most of the
Yeah.
that's most of the world. The world has like what, like 120 or something like that.
It's 150. Yeah, I think maybe 120, 150, something like that.
I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but it's somewhere in there. But yeah, so Glassford.
195, damn.
So Glassford, you've got to start traveling, man. You got to get on
absolutely. I definitely intend on that. Absolutely.
it. So
go ahead.
So we've talked about Eastern Europe a bit. That's the place. So I'd start like somewhere in the West, maybe like a Spain or a Portugal or something like that, and then do a bit of time in Eastern Europe, because that's where your dollar goes so much further. It's essentially like going to Mexico, because your dollar's worth so much, but it's in Europe. So you still get the architecture, still get the really high quality food. So that's what I would do, man. Like there's some beautiful
backpacking
spots.
Should I pack a backpack?
Sure, man. Would you be open to a hostel?
It depends. I would prefer a hotel, ideally, but some hostels aren't that. I've heard some crazy hostel stories.
I'll never do a hostel. I did a hostel one time. I'll never do it again.
What?
I did it in France. It was the worst experience I've ever had in my life.
What?
Never again.
Okay,
yeah.
boys. Okay. So you had a one-off. Like hostels are the shit. Listen,
It depends. I think it depends on the hostel.
Exactly, but it's just that hostels, especially in Europe, are very competitive because there's a lot of them. So
I feel like sometimes you kind of don't have a choice, really, like, because in some of the countries, if you go to a smaller country, you might not have a whole lot of access to hotels, or maybe I'm bugging.
No, that's a good point. Yeah.
No, you'd have hotels everywhere.
Okay.
Hotels, hostels may be less abundant in some places, but hotels are generally everywhere. Hostels, the things that you're getting from that, you can still get a private room. You don't have to be in a dorm. I don't know if you were in a dorm in your bad experience, but listen, dorms can suck. They're a bit made for the younger crowd. I'm, like I told you, 31. I still go to hostels by choice, because you can still get a private room, which is essentially the same as a hotel. The thing you can't get at a hotel that you get at a hostel is people that have traveled. You get a vast amount of knowledge and information that, like, if you look at your guidebook and it says, yeah, this is great to do, but look at when your book was published. Was it 10 years ago? Was it 5 years ago? That might not be current. You're then talking to a person that was there maybe yesterday, and they'll say, oh man, don't do this part, do it like this. And I love hostels, man. I'll be going to hostels till I'm 100.
I would save so much money if I did, because I was just looking at videos today, and they always suggest hostels, and the connections you make, and sometimes they have very nice, hostels where you can get, a room to yourself and all of that. So,
and dude, there's websites. Go to Hostel World. Go look at the hostel.
Go
look at the reviews. Like, don't go to a place that has bad reviews. Go to a place that has really good reviews.
To the hostel. Okay. That's like hotels.com for hostels.
Yeah.
You can still bring a girl back to a hostel, right?
I've had one guy yell. I was in a 14-person dorm, and he said, it wasn't me, but he was talking to my buddy. He's like, no fucking in the dorms. Go fuck in the shower.
Wow.
But yes, if you have a
Well, I'm
private
assuming
room,
you
you
have a
can.
private room though. You should be good.
Yeah, you're fine. It's not,
Okay.
listen, just saying. Oftentimes, if you're a single guy, the whole hostel goes out together, and then they come back.
Good point.
What about B&Bs?
Yeah, I don't really. I've stayed in one in Colombia. B&Bs are good, man. There may be less to meet other people, but you'll get breakfast in the morning. But no, listen, I'm telling you, do a bit of research. You'll find some beautiful hostels. Like I've stayed in nicer hostels in Europe than I have stayed in hotels by far.
Wow.
Like, okay, I'll give you one. I was in this place called Malta. You guys know where Malta is?
Hell no.
So Malta is this, it's a country. It's an island that's between Italy and Tunisia or Libya. And we were in a hostel there. Jacuzzi on the roof, like a barbecue, and the roof itself, like it was an open air, like roof. It was insane. And you paid $5, $10 a night.
Wow, US?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Plus you got to meet people from all over the world. So
that's a freaking steal. Wow.
It is. Like, because I plan on, I'm not backpack, but I'm trying to do like Asia for a month, like Philippines, Thailand, Cambodia. You said what?
You said not backpack.
No, I can't do just a backpack, but like
we're gonna be like with your like little rolly luggage.
Yeah, but I get tired of carrying that shit. I'm not gonna lie. I see why y'all do backpacks because carrying 2 big ass bungalow suitcases is ridiculous.
I thought the big army guy could probably hold on to a backpack now.
You would think, right? Yeah, you would think.
It's not that bad, man. Remember, you pack your own stuff, man. You can pack as light as you want. It's just you might have to wash your shit or buy some new shit.
Nah, but that's the thing. I noticed overseas, like everything don't wash the same. Like in Colombia, their washer and dryer was trash. Oh my god.
Yeah,
I have to hang my shit up. The air dry.
Yeah. And then also sometimes you can hit some machines that are like in different languages and you're like, which one is which, dude? Which one's just normal?
Exactly. I don't know what the hell. I don't know what the hell I was doing. I have to wash my shit every 15 minutes.
Hey, you can always go to the classic, just soap and water by hand.
Facts.
Dude,
figure it out.
When you're on a budget, you figure it out. A bit of like Axe gel, and you're just off you go.
Axe gel is crazy.
Oh, indeed.
Like 20, is it like 17 in one now?
What?
Like 17. It started like 2 in 1. It was like shampoo, conditioner, and then it was like shampoo, conditioner, and shaving cream. And then it was like it just keeps going. Now it's like 17 in 1.
Damn, I didn't know it was 17.
Face moisturizer and like.
No way.
They gotta be kept.
I'm messing with you guys.
We're pretty valuable. So my final question: top 5 podcasts in your rotation. Your top 5 favorite.
Okay. All right. Let's go. Is it best or are we doing
your personal favorite?
But I mean, am I doing best or most the ones that I listen to the most?
The ones you listen to the most.
Okay. So number 1 would be fantasy footballers because I love fantasy football. Number 2 probably be Joe Rogan Experience. I mean, he's got all sorts of guests, and I think it sells itself. It's one of the highest one up there. Number 3, I'm gonna go Real Dictators. So they it's a podcast about dictators throughout the world. So like do like Kim Jong-il and like Hitler and stuff like that, but they kind of dramatize the stories so that you're kind of listening to a story of what happened in the past, and it's it's really interesting. Number 4, I'm going Spittin' Chicklets. Spittin' Chicklets, which is actually a really interesting podcast. It's a hockey podcast, and they are also a story podcast. So they'll talk about, current events, what's going on, but they'll end with like a guest who comes on and tells stories from the old days. So they came out with they're a Barstool Sports affiliate podcast. Man, they had at one point the highest selling vodka in North America. Have you guys heard of like Pink Whitney?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's that podcast's vodka.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, and they're coming out with a beer, man. So it's really interesting because it's almost like sky's the limit, right? Like if you've got enough of a following and your influence is that good, you can do whatever.
That's crazy.
It's a podcast about hockey, dude.
And they make vodka, yeah. You like hockey?
Pink Whitney?
Yeah. I mean, it's our national pastime.
Yeah, which most of the teams are in America.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with Canadian players.
So you're a Rangers fan?
No, I'm a Bruins fan. Boston Bruins fan. So
What do they play?
Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
No, you're right. But like most of the teams, we have 6 teams in Canada, and the other 25 are in Canada, in the US.
So do you just like Boston teams?
Yeah.
You're a Red Sox fan?
I don't really watch baseball. It's not a sport. There's no contact. Listen, man, I guess number 5, I gotta go the Two Beers Till Takeoff podcast, because editing and stuff and sending the clips that I want to my editor, I guess I have to listen to my podcast. So I guess I have to throw in that.
I have to listen to my podcast.
I have no choice.
Well, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. You mean the world to me, sir.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. And no, this was a pleasure. This was fun. Glassford, you're going traveling, man. I'm gonna be on your ass.
Nah,
please.
You gotta book a flight, dude.
Please.
I really want to go. I want to go to Toronto too, for real. I do.
Yeah.
I heard it's like a cleaner New York.